Okay. Hi, Dr. Neha. It's nice to have you here. So this is going to be a part of our mental health series where we are doing short sessions with uh, 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 so- some great uh, diverse uh, psychologists that we know of on a bunch of different topics and uh, yeah, that's for our mental health week series. So we thought we'd have you back and we can sort of speak about uh, sexuality and intimacy and how like the two of those things also have a huge impact on our mental health. So uh, um uh, before we start, do you want to just quickly i- introduce yourself to people who might
Oh,
not?
sure, sure. Thank you for having me. Happy Diwali to everyone. I'm a psychiatrist. I've done my post-graduation from Nair Hospital. I've been in practice since more than about 10 years. And I love psychiatry, I think that what you guys are doing is great. Having these sessions for Mental Health Week, having mental health professionals, and even the work that you do otherwise. It's really nice. Very impressed. And I think this topic itself is going to be a fun topic.
Yeah,
It's
super
important
excited.
for people to know, and it's always fun to understand more about ourselves and relationship and things like that.
Mm,
So
yeah,
yeah, let's talk about it.
sure, sure. Yes, also, my name is Kavya. I'm a team leader and psychologist here at Team SLW. So, yeah, we'll just quickly start. Yeah, so the idea was sort of, I think we were going through your bio, and I think you've done a book on comprehensive sex ed, correct? For I think is it schools or like or university? But I found that really uh, uh, cool, and we were speaking about sex education in schools or the lack thereof. And that just sort of came up. How was that process for you? If you can just
Yes,
be like,
yes. My partner and I, we are like a few psychiatrists who do sex education. Now, of course, there are more, and it was a lot of fun. We get to meet the kids, and kids nowadays also have their own opinions, which is really, really amazing to see. And they know so much stuff. We get to learn, they get to learn. I do wish, of course, that schools had more sex ed talks or, even just interactive sessions about it. But of course, schools have their own limitations, but it's been a very fun journey. And yes, we wrote a book that's called Sexuality Begins at Home. It's
mm,
directed towards parents. It's just
oh,
basic questions that parents usually have. So just how to answer or how to navigate it. That was the idea behind the book. And we have had four other very renowned psychiatrists who have, written the book with us. So that was like an amazing experience that we had.
yeah. So, how do you see sort of since you've been in contact with both young people and parents, how do you see sort of the changing attitudes around uh, things like sex, pleasure, uh, i- i- intimacy? D- d- do you do you see a change in these sort of concepts and how people receive it these days because of, I guess, modern dating culture and so many things, right?
Right. No, of course. Um, Kids, of course. I think more than anything, we're going to eliminate this parent-children kind of distinction, but just talk about relationships as a whole, if that's okay, you know.
Yes.
And I come from a time where the way we met people or the way, relationships happen was in college or during graduation and parties and friends of friends of friends of friends. That's how we would meet people.
Hmm.
And yes, you take it forward, do it the old school way, have a crush, get infatuated, do the dating, and etc., etc.
Yeah.
And breakups and all of that, of course, are a part of it with all the sad list, whatever playlists and all of that. That's of course a regular part.
Yes.
But now dating has changed so much. I do think, it's because of the way things have just kind of evolved, where it's harder and harder for people to meet people face to face.
Yeah.
Of course, in your 20s or in your teens, you do meet people in college, you have your friends, but then gradually the way things have panned out is people have started moving out for education. People are more flexible about the cities they might want to go for jobs. And in that case, then your village or the pool of people that you have to date keeps
Mm.
changing, and it also kind of reduces. So, the one good thing
Hmm.
about the new scenario itself is that people are more aware of their emotional needs. They invest in relationships. They know what they kind of want or what they should get, at least emotionally, from a relationship perspective.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of room for sexual exploration as well. There's a lot of acceptance that has come with the queer community, or even, various things like kink, or just, exploring all kinds of sexual interactions, which is a great thing that the new culture has brought in. But intimacy, per se, is like a process. It's a process of discovery. It's a process of anticipation. That little bit of, I suppose, that will they, won't they kind of a thing, kind of space that
Yeah.
comes, that little bit of anxiety that comes from that as things build up. And eventually, of course, there's closeness, there's this sense of belonging, stability, and just a space where you can be vulnerable. And that's how
Hmm.
intimacy kind of evolves. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's become this space, from this space of anticipation and closeness, it's kind of become a space for anxiety, as far as what I see. uh, yes,
Hmm.
most people tell me that where else do you find dates other than online? Because work colleagues, they're work colleagues in a different environment. So it's not easy anymore. Or even parties, the scenario I think has changed the way it works, right? So the way we are there is about online dating. And that's how technology has kind of helped. Okay. But you're dating then an online profile. Okay. You're dating partly a part of your imagination as well. So in this space, of
Hmm.
course, you do have a persona that you have to put up. Okay, you
Yeah.
start talking by SMSing or messaging or whatever it is, and then if that persona fits, then you go out and meet
Hmm.
someone outside.
Abs-
Absolutely,
right.
yes. And I think that kind of takes away a lot of the discovery process. It also brings in
Hmm.
a lot of anxiety. So what I see is most people have a one foot in, one foot out, you know. So if I'm dating, I'm going on a date, I have to be in a place where exit is easy. So I'll be in a public place, and then if I have to leave, I'll just leave, and then maybe the person won't get hurt so much. So there has to be that kind of scenario happening. A lot of
Hmm.
young people tell me that when I ask them, how do you ask people out on a date? The idea is simply like, oh, let's hang out. But
Yeah.
the way that you ask a person out on a date is, hey, do you want to go out for dinner with me? Right? So it involves that part of making someone feel special. Um,
Hmm.
Another feedback that I've got is
Yeah.
that, hey, you start chatting, and this is from a more younger population, you get into a relationship and then you start discovering one another. So now a
Hmm.
relationship that was on text has now evolved into an in-person space, but I've already got that tag in. So it allows for, I think that the way that dating culture has evolved is it really wants to eliminate risk. It
Hmm.
involves getting as little hurt as possible. It involves this, right? So it involves me having a list already, and the minute you don't fit in, get out. Okay.
Hmm.
And I've also heard of a lot of people, they you have those tags, right? What you're looking for, and they have the long-term relationship in there. And then it doesn't work out. So then they'll decide, you know what, let me switch to short-term relationships, and maybe that way I'll meet people. So you don't actually know what a person wants. So this kind of anxiety, that definitely has come in into the dating scene. What do you think? Is that true?
Oh no, absolutely. I think you've done such a great job of sort of explaining, and the way that you talk, you know, when you just started speaking, you was the way that you talk about relationships has a lot of that uh, magic to it that I think sometimes this sort of a curated uh, online sort of dating really takes away, right? And it feels really safe and really and that's the thing, right? I've I mean, this is what I use as well, because there's really, how do you meet people? uh, like you mentioned, especially if like how do you meet uh, 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 queer people, right? Like I have no idea. Um, so it really does bring a lot of agency into our hands, and at the same time, there's also so many terms and tags and just things that we are sort of specifically looking for. And like you said, like it's almost like a checklist, and if those things don't match, then it uh, I think I think there really is like people don't like being in a space of discomfort that sometimes is normal when you are dealing with people, right? Human beings, as there's so much nuance, so much complex complexity, and that's also a part of the magic of it, I'm sure. So I think you really did bring out those two sort of things so well. Hmm.
Mhm. Uncertainty definitely is a part of relationships, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's definitely, you know, I guess an important part also.
Hmm.
And I don't know, but it seems like there's a little bit of of fear around probably making someone else feel special. Uh, maybe in terms of how you might be perceived that, hey, what's this? Why you're talking like this? I don't know if that happens, but but we all
Yeah.
want to feel that. We want to feel special. It's a very natural thing to want that.
Yeah, the word that you used, vulnerability, is really at the core of it, right? Hmm.
Mhm.
And actually, there's a lot of cool research also being done on like the role that vulnerability plays on intimacy, emotional intimacy. It really sort of heightens the whole thing. So you'd think that people would be more comfortable, or would at least be sort of open to it. But there is sort of this attitude of casualness that doesn't sit well with vulnerability, or like says that there's no space for it.
Yeah, and the funny part
Hmm.
about, casual dating is that feelings don't have rules, you know. So if anybody is going in saying, I'm just going to keep it casual, let's just maybe even hook up. or the fast dating that's going on nowadays. Just do that. But feelings are not listening to reason. Okay. Evolutionarily speaking, our brains are looking for mates. Okay, how do I propagate species? So that's how it works. And feelings don't listen to conscious choices. So a person may go for just, a casual date, but end up having feelings for somebody. So there are no rules that this can follow. So we may
Yeah.
end up, finding a different situation, right?
Yeah.
And without that risk that you take
Yeah.
in going on a date, that kind of a thing, we can't be vulnerable in the first go. It's not actually safe at all. We wouldn't, someone wouldn't go on the first date and probably and shouldn't talk about all the things that are wrong in their life because you don't know. Vulnerability involves a place of, here are my
Yeah.
feelings, I'm showing them to you. And it's not a nice feeling at all. So people wouldn't, I wouldn't recommend that being the case on the first date, but definitely that place of discovery or just needing taking a risk, just having that would definitely be there. And it doesn't come, relationships don't happen without some kind of risk, some kind of tolerance to uncertainty.
Just I
That's
just
what I
get the
sorry. Can yeah.
sorry, I just had to quickly get the door because there
No
was
worries.
no one else home. I don't know if you heard me.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so um and that that is very true that it's sort of about finding the the scale and sort of like the balance, right? And also a part of the uh, discovery of then sort of realizing that okay, maybe this is not what I was looking for, but maybe I am now, or this feels good. That then sort of turns into something like a crisis, or like uh, 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 people do sort of look at it with like a lack of curiosity, and it feels like it's sort of like a, a blimp in like their plans, like things like that, and it's, which also then sort of you are sort of have a preconceived negative, or like like a bit of a, a, a hesitant approach to very natural things that
Absolutely,
might maybe
absolutely.
color your experiences.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think call me romantic, but in the 90s there was a lot of indirect poetry and a lot of, you know, uh, songs about very different kind of things. But now, as I see, words are very direct. Songs are also very direct.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. Let go, things like that. And I
Yeah.
think also a part of it is like maybe attention, so I'm not paying attention much. Like, my attention span's going to go away any minute. So you got to tell me whatever you have to tell me
That's also,
there,
yeah.
right now, right? Okay, you want
I'm
this or
sure
you don't want this.
that's that's interesting. I didn't think about how our short attention spans could also be playing a role. But yeah, that's where I think that people often then come around to maybe or romance later, like in the later
Yeah.
stages of their relationship. Or I hope they do. but but that has sort of changed. Like you go from a very direct um clear thing, and then later you build sort of like vulnerability, romance, and things like that, right? So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's
I
like a
wanna
reverse process.
go back. Yeah, I wanna go back to something that you mentioned a while ago. So um we are sort of speaking about how there's so much awareness now, and people have all sorts of information about things like uh, kinks even, right? And a lot of this, since we still don't have comprehensive sex education in most places here, is things that they may be seen online or via the internet, or media consumption. Does that like have any gaps there in like people's understandings, or like their experiences of these things? Do you see that sort of playing out in a way where um that late like that might lead to, I'm sure, both good and like bad things maybe, but like how do you see that, and people who come to you?
Well, definitely, media plays a lot of role in this is the globalization of things. You get to understand what is there, what things can be, the possibilities. Your stocks are not very certain. What's happening?
Sorry, I lost you. Now we're back.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, there. Right. So, what I was saying was that the media definitely plays a role in just kind of globalizing things, just giving you a lot of information of what is out there, what could be out there, what your
Mm.
possibilities are. Definitely. But sometimes the media is also very polarized. Things are either, really bad for people or things are really good for people. So that kind of polarization may definitely be there. uh, any kind of sexual exploration, right, comes with its own ups and downs and things that you like or things that you might not like. Or maybe, it may come with a completely different idea. Something really different happens once you enter that space. Okay. And if people are just open to that, in that sense, then I think that it would be a wonderful experience for them. Okay, but yes,
Mm.
I think the media helps in just knowing, say, where a munch is, or where queer parties are, or even where mixers are, singles mixers, things like that. So that is something it's out there. You wouldn't know otherwise. Otherwise, it can be a very close circle, and then you get
Yes.
entry in that community. No? So I think that's really nice. I think that is one thing that the
Mm.
media does do, but it's like a take it with a pinch of salt, because things might not exactly be the way you think that they are, or even be open to possibly exploring your own sexuality. That you go somewhere and then you're like, okay, this might not be for me. So if you people are
Mm.
can be open about this, then I think it is a great thing, you know. So I think that in that sense, the media is good. Also, yes, people are on their own journey of sexuality. It's something that I guess that it does happen now that they're more open to it, but it's always a process of discovery. We're all dynamic people. And yes, of course, in terms of orientation, things like that, gradually, of course, it becomes fixed. And maybe people even know since the beginning. But things that I might like sexually or even emotionally, these are things that I can keep exploring. Mm.
Yeah.
So that's what I think, yeah, about that. Yeah.
And um n- now that as people sort of learn more about themselves, and um uh how do how do you think, or what are some signs that they can sort of also watch out for, that might maybe sort of just signal to like a larger uh, pattern that 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 might sort of suggest that they need uh, help, or that they might sort of be um uh, uh, encountering difficulties uh, in intimacy, and because we know now that that things like uh, uh, trauma also sort of play a huge role on on how we feel about ourselves, on you know our bodies, and how that sort of plays out in uh, our our bedrooms. And since people don't often talk about that aspect, they might sort of fail to identify um certain signs that sort of uh, show up. So what do you think about that? What should people watch
Okay.
out for? And also, how do you know that this is like a normal difficulty, or it's a sign to like a greater sort of i- issue there, I guess is my question.
Okay, let's talk about this then. I'm gonna like kind of divide it into when it
Yeah,
comes to healthy relationships, and then we'll talk about the personal experience as well.
great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, when it comes to relationships, I guess that's where we can start first. Of course, um, physical abuse, verbal abuse, any kind of abuse is like a sorry, not happening kind of a thing. Okay. It's also just for people out there who are in any kind of abusive relationships. One should know that you eventually get into this space of helplessness. So even if
mm,
one might say that, oh, I've never been the kind of person who would ever do this, or you're not the kind of person who would ever do this, you enter that space of helplessness. So one should definitely seek help in that case. But that line, I don't know if everybody knows this line. Um, Do jism ek jaan,
yeah,
right? That's the line.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. So that not cool. Not cool at all. Right?
Yeah,
There's also this nursery rhyme called as Three Pigs. Okay, there's
independency.
a line in that, Three Little Pigs, yeah. There's a
Ah,
line in that which says, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down, which leads
oh
to
yeah, yeah,
feeling
yeah.
a lot. Yeah. Okay. That, if you're feeling that, then maybe you want to kind of,
Hmm.
uh,
Think,
rethink your
think.
relationship because you're in a space of fear. So
Hmm.
that is definitely something. Um, when it comes to relationships per se, there's also this. I guess very, very strict terms in terms of lying, dishonesty, ideology of a person, or their perception, or their any kind of ideas about the world in general. There's a very black and white view about that.
Yeah,
Okay. And that's the unfortunate thing. That's how it happens. That also reduces somebody's anxiety. It also allows that, okay, if this person is matching, then this is a safe person. Or even this
yeah,
concept of, I'm sorry, Kavya, I'm gonna have to let my dog out. Just sorry.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, sorry.
No worries.
Right. So the expectation is, I think, sometimes that a person should be vulnerable from get-go. I need to know everything about this person from get-go. Or this person should be exactly how I should know everything about them. Because
Mm,
you can't possibly do that. We're dynamic people, one. And if someone has a different ideology, then we at least give them a chance to tell us where they're coming from, why their
mm,
ideology is this way, right?
yeah.
Or if someone is not lying, even, right, or not honest, then one, because that person is not known to you, they don't owe you honesty. They don't owe you vulnerability. It's still a
Mm,
process that's happening. Why would someone want to expose themselves this early on? So
mm,
one of the things that happens is that there's a lack of, I guess, patience or tolerance. I suppose that would be a better word to these things, right? Or even say when it comes to love bombing, I think that's the term, right?
mm, yeah.
Ideally, in courtship, okay, things are supposed to be rosy, all right? People are supposed to kind of give all of those cheesy dialogues, do things like gifting, go out of their way to make people feel special. That's the way it's supposed to be. Okay, that's
Mm,
actually what courtship period looks like. And then,
yeah.
of course, over time, over the period of 6 months, is when you gradually come to know a person. So, someone is bombing you with love. It's not a bad thing. Okay, it's not a
Yeah,
bad thing.
yeah.
But this person later on really changes who they are, and you come to know that there's a completely different person, yes, then that is the problem. All of this
Mm,
bombing part is not the problem. Okay, the person then becomes like a mismatch. Okay, but I think that
mm.
there's like a tag, if this is happening, not okay, but it's normal. It's courtship period.
A red
This is
flag.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is normal. And it always takes time, at least up to 6 months, to know somebody. Okay,
Mm,
and that time is just all that nice rosy time, and people come to know. Or even say, for example, ghosting, and at no point am I saying ghosting is really okay. All right, it's really not. It's not nice. But say, okay, people have kind of ghosted each other, somebody comes back, then it's always okay to say, hey, what happened, why'd you disappear? So
yeah.
give this person a chance to explain themselves, right? Maybe
Yeah.
that person's unwell. Maybe, there's something else going on, right?
Yeah.
So I think that instead of just, okay, at the end, thank you very much, you're a red flag,
Yeah.
some things may not be a red flag. Okay,
Absolutely.
but it makes difficult for us to it's difficult for people to tolerate this uncertainty, because the only way you're in touch is via that message thing. They have no personal connection. Then that becomes that relationship, and then it becomes a little hard. That's I also understand that. But on the flip side, if it is something that every relationship has you feel anxious, or it's
Mm,
very hard for you to take risks just in general, it's very hard for you to trust people all the time in most places, or at all points, there's this constant anxiety that, okay, are you going to leave now? Are you going to leave now? What's going on?
yeah.
Or even you end up leaving before someone else is going to leave you, right? So
Mm,
if this is something that happens, or even in that bid, you might go out of your way, like beyond your natural capacity to do things
yes.
for someone. I am not well, but I will make sure that you are not hurt or something like that. Or if you need, I don't know, consoling or whatever, I'll leave everything and then go there, you know. So that is not okay. And if that is a pattern, okay, so not just one time or two times or something like that. Of course, we go out of our way sometimes to be there for our partners. But if it's something that's a pattern happening repeatedly, which is not allowing you to enjoy a relationship, so be
Mm,
there in that space and, you know, that two-ness and just be there, then yes, then it's something that needs to be looked into. And that's where therapy comes into being. Our
mm,
idea of relationship is not just our friends or the media or things like that. It also comes from our childhood, what we see, what our brain has learned, what how maybe our elders have dealt with issues in their relationship, and then they form an idea of what a normal relationship can look like, and
mm,
that might not always be healthy, and we can carry these patterns forward because that's what our brain has learned. And if that is the case, right, if that is what is interfering with just regular things, regular, just having a healthy relationship, I think that's what I may call it, then yes, therapy plays a very important role in that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because these patterns, these unhealthy patterns, also somehow very perversely have us picking the wrong partners. If
Hmm.
someone has this thought that people are going to leave, in a very contradictory manner, people end up picking people who actually are more likely to leave.
Yeah.
It's just the brain is just funny that way,
Yeah.
right? But until those patterns heal, then it allows me to choose someone who is healthy, right?
Hmm.
Who can, and just simply believe that some people will stay, some people go, some people are there in our life for some time. But this is where healing is required. This is where therapy plays a very important role.
Yeah. Yeah. And sort of and we are sort of nearing the end here. So uh, continuation of that only, so what you are sort of speaking about are these larger patterns in your uh, relationships that might show up over time. And I'm sure that this is not only restricted to romantic dating, right? Yeah. So when we say that, this might be the time for you to sort of uh, seek therapy, or see how that can help you. I guess like my larger question is that a lot of people don't know that you can talk about these things in therapy as well, that you can bring up sex, or you can talk about desire, or things like that. And that that again is sort of like people are still learning about therapy in general, right? So and and it also feels really vulnerable there as well. And as a, a result of which, there are, like, I think people then look for specific types of therapy, like sex therapy and things like that, which actually doesn't really exist in India. And I guess to someone who is um facing issues in intimacy, or maybe facing some uh, some medical issues, in their personal life, or like what is the sort of uh, criteria there that these people should turn to these professionals, and what would you sort of what would be a good guide, or like a thumb rule for people to
Okay.
follow?
One is that if therapy has crossed your mind, then yes, you should just take an appointment and go for therapy. If there's even the, oh, maybe I should take up therapy, please do it. Okay. So, yes, sex therapy per se itself is not really a very concrete therapy, right? So, when there is any kind of, when it comes to intimacies, like I said, these come with patterns. These are things that are um, available to you or can be dealt with at any form of therapy. Okay. When it comes to more physical aspects, say in terms of something that's called as erectile dysfunction or something that's called as premature ejaculation, this is something that is the purview of a psychiatrist. Okay. There's a lot of anxiety also related around this. So, yes, one thing is that everybody should know that they deserve good sex. Like, absolutely.
They deserve.
Okay. They deserve good sex. Everybody deserves good sex. Okay. So, desire, eroticism, fantasies, all of these things are very, very normal. And if there is anything, any issue with that, and sometimes shame itself something that comes in the way. So that can be brought up And if there are such physical issues or even just regular issues in terms of anxiety related to sex is something you can bring up with the psychiatrist. And if then required, then they direct you to, say, a urologist or something like that. That's how you
Correct.
know. Okay. But yes, intimacy is a very, very
Hmm.
important part of anything, physical intimacy. So people should absolutely be free to talk about it with everybody, with anybody, in term, especially their therapist, because everybody deserves good sex.
Love it. Yeah, time to sort of do away with the shame. Yeah. Yeah. So just hearing you speak about, relationships and sort of and also how things used to be in your time, you sort of paint such a rich picture. So I guess my last question would be, what are your hopes, or like, some sort of like a message that you carry for us, that you wish, we would sort of be more open to, or also think about. We spoke about certain gaps, right, in how young people sort of view relationships, dating. So how do we sort of bridge the gap, I guess, is like my final question.
Yeah. Um, I think that I really do believe that relationships cannot be online. I really do believe that. And maybe it's different, I don't know. Okay. When you say that in your time, I feel a little old, but I don't.
No, no.
I do. I
Or
am. So, but what I do hope for everybody is there's this line, from this movie, I think, called as The Fault in Our Stars. I don't know if you've seen it,
yeah,
but it says that uh, the boy says to Hazel Grace that it would be an honor to have my heart broken by you. And
yes.
or
uh,
there is this
no,
very
I've
famous
thought
Notting Hill
about
line. Yeah, yeah, right. Or even that
uh,
line that says, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her. That
yes,
kind
yes.
of vulnerability, right? I do hope that that's something that everybody gets to experience. Whether or not it turns out into something long term is very, very different from the experience itself of intimacy. And the more people are open to this, I think that discovery process or even that anticipation process, even though it feels really awful, but can be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I
Thank
want.
you so
That's
much
what I
for
want.
sharing. And thank you for the session today. I'll just ask
Thank
people
you.
to, wherever you are watching this, if you have any questions for us or Dr. Neha, you can leave them in like the comments or things like that, and maybe we'll get back. But yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you for
Thank you.
thank you for this chat. I'll click end recording if that's okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.